Civil War cavalry. The American Civil War saw cavalry tactics move largely from the offensive towards the defensive, with the emphasis on screening, reconnaissance, riding, and harassment. In the first half of the war, the Confederates enjoyed the advantage, as Southern boys were more accustomed to the riding and shooting life. By the second half, the Union Army gained a greater cavalry capability through brilliant tactics. One trait they always possessed was pride and camaraderie. The time is 1864.
Around her neck she wore a yellow ribbon. She wore it in the winter in the merry month of May. And when I asked her why the yellow ribbon, she said it's for her lover who is in the cavalry. Cavalry!
Quiet down! What are you men thinking? He's just arrived from a long journey and he's resting in the tent.
Colonel Capron, pardon me, I should have known better and been a better example for the men.
Lieutenant Sanford, I know that the men are exhausted, but we're all one unit. Each and every one of us is responsible for our group's actions.
Who's in the tent?
So, what's your name, soldier?
John January, sir.
John January, and how's that arm doing, Private?
Feeling much better since you sewed me up. The 14th Illinois Cavalry sure is fortunate that the Army has placed an assistant surgeon in every regiment to help us wounded out.
Well, I do regret that we're low on chloroform, but I have had success using coffee to fight infection, and I've also had success using quinine and whiskey.
Where'd you learn advanced medicine anyway? Was you a doctor before the war?
Me? No, I mustered in as a private. The Union thought the war would be short and they had no plans on taking care of wounded or sick soldiers. But things didn't go as planned and soon they needed more medical personnel. Assistant surgeon comes at the rank of major, so I volunteered.
Rip, my compliments on becoming a fine horseman as well. I've watched you handle your mount in the field and it's admirable. Splendid work at Chancellorsville.
Well, thank you, sir, but you know, a lot of credit has to go to these fine horses the Union's provided for us. They're big, they're strong, they eat better than our men. 10 pounds of grain and 14 pounds of hay each day.
Yes, they're expensive. The government pays $119 US a head for it.
I hear singing out here.
Attention!
And I liked it. Yeah, you can't worry about this dispute. The corps is great, and those fiddles, they make me feel like home. Oh, at ease, men. No need to be in detention for my account.
As you say, Mr. President, at ease, men. Sir, thank you for your inspirational visit here tonight. I just hope that the journey wasn't too treacherous. After all, we are at war.
Well, it's not nothing to what these men face every day. But, well, I did have a little incident on the way here.
Mr. President, pardon all the commotion. It seems like this war has somehow chipped away at our civility.
Oh, no worry, Colonel. I always like to tell a story. It's not very dramatic, but anyway, I was riding along on my horse, old Abe, and I was caution. Should have been more cautious than I was, but we're riding along, and by golly, and this hat, it rides higher on my head than in my pack, and it's very calm and quiet, and I guess our minds were our minds were meandered.
Well, Mr. President, you certainly have a lot on your mind these days.
Oh, well, anyway, a shot rang out and topped off my topper, and we scrambled away, and I met Sergeant Reynolds on the there, and he said he'd go back and get my hat, and he was more likely to go back than my horse.
Well, I'll say, Mr. President, any proper Union soldier would have been happy to do so, sir, like Private Raines or Private Gilbert.
Anyway, got in my hand, and there was a hole right through the top of it. Yeah, I think people make some ill intent on that. But I think it was just some unwitting sniper. Anyway, oh, don't tell Mrs. Lincoln. She'll worry about that for sure, intended or not.
Sir, you might be surprised, but at Knoxville, a rifle ball hit me right in the chest. The only thing that saved me was this hymn book I had in my pocket.
I can believe that. Yeah, I've tried to sing some of those songs. They're hard to get through. Say, boys, how about a song that I might know?
How's I Left My Love?
Yeah,
All right. I left my love, I left her sleeping in her bed. I turned my back on my true love when fighting Johnny Webb. I left my love a letter in the holler of a tree. I told her she could find me in the U.S. Cavalry, in the U.S. Cavalry. Hi-ho, down they go, there's no such word as can. We'll ride clear down to hell and back for Ulysses Simpson Grant. Hi-ho, down they go, there's no such word as can. We'll ride clear down to hell and back for Ulysses Simpson Grant.
The medicine of the Civil War was lacking. The 14th Illinois Cavalry lost 25 men to battlefield death and 119 men to disease and infection over a 3-year period. Their outfit had traveled over 10,000 miles in that time. The Union cavalry remained strong, but horse prices did rise to $190 by war's end. The Confederacy was paying $3,000 per horse in 1865. In 1916, the U.S. Army created an official veterinary corps to better care for their horses. George Smith migrated to Santa Rosa after the war and became a respected doctor and known war veteran in town. He died in 1904 at the age of 85. He is buried in this special veteran section of the rural cemetery, and his plot is right behind you back over there where the candle is. There, all right.